What's up, summoners? King Blair here. Today we're going to be talking about one of the topics that a lot of you guys have been asking me about, and that is how to build and some introductions over the assassin. So Assassin Cidd and Assassin Kali. Some of the most rewarding units to use in this game, but also some of the hardest units to use in this game because they require a lot. But if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Discord. Y'all been doing amazing in all of them. Keep the subscribes up. Make sure you subscribe and put the notification bell if you want to stay updated with all the new content I got for you guys. The Melissa guy will be dropping hopefully next week, Sunday. So be ready for that. And for the Discord, I am thinking of starting to stream more consistently. I'm thinking maybe Friday nights. I might put a poll later on to see what days work for you. You guys would like to see streams. But that will all be coming in the near future. So if you like the video, like, subscribe, and join the Discord. All right, enough about the channel. Let's get right into it. The assassins. So how this video will play out is first, we're going to be talking about their background. So a little bit of background similar to what I did in the Bruiser guide. Kind of talking about what they do, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and then translating that over to their actual builds, looking primarily at the Assassin Kali and then a little bit on the Assassin Cidd. But we'll talk about it, and I'll show you guys how the same build will look on a simple Assassin Cidd. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. So the assassins, y'all, these units, if you have them build, man, they are so rewarding. They're so hard to build. You kind of don't choose to build them. They choose you to build them because you really do need a lot of lucky rolls. But first, let's start with Assassin Cidd. I do not have an Assassin Cidd built. A lot of people do ask me that. I am planning to build him. I have ideas on how I want my Assassin Cidd to look. But there's other people that use it. I am very familiar with it. A lot of people use it on defense. And he plays similar. They have very uniquenesses to each of them, so we'll talk about the uniquenesses. But Assassin Cidd definitely gets a lot more play. I see him a lot more. And then Assassin Kali, I know way more than I should know about Assassin Kali. But all right, let's talk about it. So first, Assassin Cidd. So first stats, because they do have very different stats, which do put them in different points. So Assassin Cidd is extremely fast. Faster than Assassin Kali. And the crit rate that he starts off with is insane. He starts at a 35% crit rate just from the thing, but this does mean that he has a lower attack stat. 930 for an assassin, that's not the highest in the world. That's actually on the low side. I actually think Ravi starts out with higher attack. So that speed stat and that crit stat definitely come at a cost, and it does hurt him partially. But, you know, he's still able to do his job. The other thing is his imprint is also crit rate. It is also crit rate. That means you start your Assassin Cidd with essentially 50% crit. That's insane. That's actually insane. Like, it's so crazy to me that he has such a high crit stat because I struggle getting crit on my equipments a lot of times and getting my units to 100% crit. With Assassin Cidd, it's considerably easier, but you're gonna have to start looking for more attack and speed to fully maximize his potential. On the other hand, Assassin Kali is not as forgiving. She does have a higher attack stat by 100, so it is nice. She does have higher attack, and she has a built-in attack function that we will talk about. But the weakness where her build is her speed is 2 slower, and you might be like, 2 speed is nothing, right? But when you're talking like you winning the fight ends up to RNG, 2 speed is the difference between you winning and not winning. So 2 speed is actually a big deal when you're talking about the assassins because it's just that extra edge to get over your opponent. It's just that slight little edge to get over your opponent, which is the reason why Assassin Cidd does counter Assassin Kali. If you pair the two and both are built optimally, an Assassin Cidd will always beat an Assassin Kali. So that's something you should know. Also, the crit rate is low on her, and she needs to have 100% crit rate, or as close as possible to. It is so frustrating to lose a fight because she didn't get the crit. And yes, you get a little bit of help from her imprints. She does get all the way up to 29%, but compared to Assassin Cidd's extra 20%, man, that's just, it's crazy. But the nicer attack stat does mean that she's going to serve a slightly different purpose than Assassin Cidd. Right, now let's talk about their skills and what their job is. Why do they have the skills that they have? So Assassin Cidd's first skill is to take his defense. It's actually pretty nice. It's nothing that's crazy. It lets them actually be used in some PvE content. Not a lot, but some, like some abyss stages here and there. You can potentially even use him in some raid stages, but that's not what he's known for. The other nice thing is that this guy is going to be lapping people like crazy. So access to speed makes it so you have the potential to actually lap your opponent, set up a decreased defense, and have one of your slower units actually kill them off. So again, it's nice. You're not trying to build too much effectiveness on your Assassin Cidd, but it's not wasted, as we'll see with the third skill. Because this skill, yeah, it's nice. You get a little bit of decreased defense. The second skill, well, it may not look like a lot on paper. Let me give you guys a scenario so you start thinking why this skill is kind of nuts. So this goes up to 30%, right? So Cidd, you guys know, stupid fast, 280, almost, probably like 300. Assassin Cidd will most likely be 280 to 300 speed, easily. For a lot of players, they can actually do that. That's actually achievable for a lot of Assassin Cidd players. Biggest thing with this skill, you are most likely going to kill one of their priority target units. So that means you get a 30% combat readiness boost, and you get an attack buff for when you go again with the skill 1. The other thing is if you're doing a cleave, and I think it's Astronax, I'm not sure, don't quote me, but there is a YouTuber that actually uses Assassin Cidd a lot. I actually think it's Gaming Psychopath. He uses Assassin Cidd a lot, and he uses him on cleave team. So why is it good? It's because you can outspeed legend tier heroes, like a legend tier Athletica. You are able to kill that Athletica, get 30%, and then you follow up with a Challenger Dami Sigrid combo, and you're able to kill 2 more units. That essentially gives you an extra turn. That is also giving you more turns for your cidd to take a turn. It's just crazy. This guy basically gets 2 turns. And that's what you have to accept. In a cleave comp, you kill the priority target, and then you get the skill 1. It's almost like guaranteed because of the skill 2. Then, as far as the skill 3, man, this skill, when they buffed it, I was like, oh my god, this skill is crazy now. And then they buffed the AI. So what does it do? So first, it steals souls. So that's really annoying when you're on the offensive, you're trying to do a cleave. That is crushing in itself. 20 souls. 20 souls. And this can't be resisted. It's just you steal the souls. So this will always target the fastest unit on the enemy team when it's used on arena defense. If you're using an arena offense, the soul doesn't matter as much. But for RTA, if you're going against a cleave team and you slap an Assassin Cidd, they have to ban it because they lose all their souls. Their priority target, their main combat readiness booster dies. Why? Because, okay, best case scenario, you just kill them straight up. Why? The damage on the skill is based on Assassin Cidd's speed and on the enemy's speed. So, you know, 2 fast units, it's going to be doing a lot of damage. This can easily do like 13, 14k, and then if you soul burn it, it does not okay amount of damage. Because the soul burn does increase the damage, and it's only 10 souls. It's only 10 souls. You can do some pretty nasty damage. And then, at worst case scenario, you're still getting a silence on their Oxlots, you're still getting a silence on their Athletica, and you're pushing them back 50%. It's just, if there's a combat readiness booster on the enemy team, Oxlots, Athletica, anyone, or someone's trying to cleave you, like Bazaar, Assassin Cidd will stop them, which is why in High Arena, you see a lot of people building extremely tanky Oxlots and extremely tanky Bazaars with immunity. Because if you don't have that, higher level up, Assassin Cidd is a great defensive unit because of that. And a lot of top level players actually put him on their defense because he's that good. So just talking about like a summary, Assassin Cidd, amazing for arena defense and a great way to take out combat readiness booster units. He does suffer a little bit on survivability. This skill does give him increased evasion, and there are some tank builds for Assassin Cidd, but with those builds, it's just fast and tanky. You're not going to be killing anyone. You're hoping for the silence. You're hoping for the souls to do the job. So it's nothing crazy, but it is out there, so just so you know that there are tank Cidd builds, but his main goal is to kill the combat readiness booster. So you might be wondering, how is this different from Assassin Kali? So Assassin Cidd, if you want to think about it, he's the burst. He's going to come in, burst the squishy down. It's over. It's a wrap. He can get a couple more hits here and there with the increased evasion, but he's not going to be in the fight for a very, very long time. He's an assassin. His job is to take a unit out, and then he did his job. Anything extra is just bonus. On the other hand, a Kali, from personal experience, she is an amazing DPS unit, and so many people don't know how to deal with her. So Assassin Kali, she has very low defensive stat, but we'll see why she's able to survive for a lot longer. So Assassin Kali, on her skill 1, she does not have a a debuff. This skill does not have a debuff. The only thing it does is it increases speed of the caster when you're stealthed. So you can start seeing why she's a DPS unit. She actually excels at DPS. Yes, she has burst potential. She's still an assassin, but her primary role is as a DPS. And a lot of people try to build their Akalis as DPS, as burst units, and then it's like they don't function because her speed is not as fast. She can't kill a very tanky Bazaar, even with soul burn, and she can't. And it's not as easy for her to kill the Oxalots. So she's not. She does help against squishier like Athletica. Oh yeah, you're killing Athletica. You're probably killing Armentia. You're killing a couple of DPS units here and there. But her AI doesn't work that way. Why? Because she's actually a DPS unit because of this skill 1. Being able to get increased speed when you're stealthed is kind of nuts. So we're not getting the stealth because it's not fully maxed, but we'll see it here. 30, you get increased speed and everything's for a turn. So why is this so insane? So, okay, let's look at the skill 2 because it'll start making more sense when we get to it. So this skill, it's 100% chance from fooling Holy Goron. Easily one of her best skills. So at the start of the turn, if you have no debuffs, you get an attack buff. That's great. That means she's a standalone unit. She can start off herself. She doesn't need anyone buffing her. She's standalone. You know, that's awesome. That's great. So this, and then the stealth at the end of the turn, if she still doesn't have a debuff, she gets a stealth. Oh no, it's at the beginning of the turn, my bad. So I forget. Has a percentage to begin to attack, and then at the end she gets the stealth. So for things like poison and for bleeds, she'll if it's like the last section of the bleed, she'll bleed and then she'll get the stealth afterwards. But the biggest thing is she always has stealth and attack innately if she's not getting debuffed, which is nice. The only units that really mess this up for her are like Dizzy and and I think like Kayron is, or no, Arbiter Builder. Those are 2 units that do kind of ruin her day a little bit. But for the skill 1, it attacks and she gets that increased speed. So why is this important? Akalis are typically around the range of 250 to 280 speed. That's about like the range that an Akali will operate at. It's not as fast as Acids. Acids operate at a range of like 260 to 280 because it's easier to get the crit rate. She operates at 250 plus 280, but then you add on the increased speed, 30%. Let me think. That's an extra like 100. Like how much is that? 30% of. Let's just do 280. That's like 80 extra speed that she's getting every time she uses the skill. That's a 350, 360 speed unit. You are lapping units that don't have over 200 speed easily. You're taking extra turns than they are. So this is it's just not okay. And her S1 actually does a surprising amount of single target damage. So that's as far as her DPS side. The other thing is that stealth also lowers damage from AoE attacks, which does help when you have things like barriers, like with Ammo Haste, which I do use her a lot with, to be able to protect herself, to be able to keep the stealth. But this is also important because in RTA, and in some arena teams, primarily RTA, a lot of people like to go for the single target builds. They like to go for their Cross, they like to go for their Dianis, they like to go for their Alencia. And yes, Alencia has 1 AoE, but if you pair her up with 1 unit that can give her an extra turn, that can make her survive an extra turn, or like a Ruel, they can't touch her for a while. So she does function very similar to Spectre Tenebria if you want to think of someone that's similar, where they have to bring AoE, which is why I typically will only put my Assassin Kali at the very end when they don't have any AoE. Because then they can't touch you. They have to get past a massive team to touch her. And then her skill 3. This is the skill that actually makes her slight burst, is the fact that you can soul burn the skill. This skill does a lot of damage. If you get the kill, you silence everyone. It never lands. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't rely on the silence. It never lands when I need it to. But what is nice is the stun, because you're moving so fast, so consistently, and they're not touching you. This skill's on a 4-turn cooldown. Every 2 turns, you essentially have the chance to stun a target that doesn't have high effector systems. And this skill hits hard. Y'all can just watch the videos I have on my YouTube on the PvP. Y'all would see me use her. This skill hits pretty hard. Does it hit as hard as an Assassin Cidd? No. Assassin Cidd actually does hit harder on faster, squishier units, but it's still enough to kill a lot of units. A Soulburn Akali should be very close to killing a Seaside Bellona. She can't do as much. She can't always get the kill. The other thing is, unlike Assassin Cidd, She doesn't target the fastest unit on the enemy team. They don't have that AI change. And even if she did it, it's not as impactful as an assassin cidd third skill. So that's enough for the Akali. So now let's go over the builds. So let me show you guys the Akali build. I've shown her several times, but let me just tell you all some of the things, and then we'll look at the assassin cidd a little bit. So Akali, she's main girl. She's my main squeeze. I have her fully Mulagora out. You need to. So for Akali, you have to have fully Mulagora out. It's one of the reasons she's such a high investment unit, and I mentioned at the beginning, you don't choose to build your assassin chooses to build you. Because all these equips, I'm going to show them to you guys, and you're going to be like, what the heck? That's insane. So this one, 16 speed, 15 crit rate. Perfect for her. Perfect for an cidd. This one, a little wasted on the effect resistance, but again, 17 speed. Yes, I wasted a little bit on the effect resistance. I would have loved that to go into crit rate, lower the requirements for me. I could have put other things around for her. But again, 17 speed. I need her to be fast. I need her to be able to take turns. I need her to be able to lap. And in some scenarios, I need her to be able to burst down. The chest, again, that would be amazing if instead of health, it was crit damage. But high crit rate, good speed. What you need. And look at these speed stats. Like if I put this on any other character, you would be like, that character is actually really freaking fast. And yes, they are very hard units to build, and they're so rewarding. For this one, again, you might be wondering why effectiveness. It actually does help a little bit, which is why I ended up level 90ing it. One, the speed was nice, and then effectiveness, as we mentioned, the skill 3, it's nice to get the stuns. It does win me some fights, so I always like to have it. And then again, good crit rate, so I need her to have a kind of crit rate. Wasashi is not forgiving with the crit rate, and this build barely reaches 100. There is not a single percentage point on crit rate that is not wasted. This ring, I'm definitely getting an upgrade. I upgraded it because I have not found anything better. If y'all don't believe me, the past 5 months, every time I get an attack percentage ring, I put it on a speed ring, and I have yet to actually get a better ring than this one. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna reforge it. But when you look at it, again, speed, crit rate, effectiveness is nice. The flat attack is nice. Would have loved for something to be crit damage, but again, no stat is really wasted on this ring, which is why I ended up also reforging it. I would honestly get the same exact ring, but just with everything slightly higher, just to help out a little bit. And then as far as the boots, this is where her main bulk of attack comes from. Pretty happy with the way it rolled. The health, actually kind of nice. I don't like her to just die, so it did come in handy that she has some flat health. Because if it's percentage health, her health pool's not that big. It actually helped her more to be like that. It helped her survive bursts here and there, and when we fights, I should not have won. So again, I am very happy with my Akali build. The only thing I want to switch is this ring. But if we look at the stats, 275 speed is really freaking good. 100% crit rate, a must have. The attack, 285, she does buff her own attack, and with the crit damage, would have loved for it to be higher, but you gotta work with what you have. RNL, the reason I like it so much is because it helps her cleanse debuffs faster. It's a lot better at a DPS Akali. If I really wanted her to commit her to just be a one-shot unit, I would give her Portrait of the Saviors. I think that's the best, honestly, for bursting for most units. I don't think Alexa's Basket is the best. She already gets her own increased attack. So Portrait of the Saviors is way more consistent and will net you a lot more kills. So if you are trying to build a burst Akali, which if she ends up getting a full unit guide, if I decide to do one on her, I will show her with Portrait because I have been thinking of playing around with it. But all in all, really, really solid. The RNL makes it such a great DPS. I prefer it over Dust Devil because this actually lets me cycle my S3 faster. And S3, man, stuns can win you games. So, you know, that's Akali in a nutshell. Effectiveness is nice. Effect resistance completely wasted. They're going to land the debuffs. I already have to rely on the 15% chance that she's already going to resist it. This doesn't help her. Any dedicated debuffer is going to have higher debuffs than this. So it really doesn't help me. If I could take all the effect resistances from all these gears and turn it into like crit damage, she would be so much better for it. But you know, I haven't gotten a gear to be able to do that. Now on to Assassin Cidd. So I actually need to find him because I don't think I have him. I think I actually have him in my box or he's level 50. So let me just double check where he is. So he should be somewhere, unless I'm missing him. I know I have an Assassin Cidd, and I know he's almost like fully Mulagora out. So let me just check my my box. Sorry I didn't do this earlier. I thought he already had him in there. That's not it. Waiting room. I don't like the waiting room that much because I forget that units exist when they're in there. Oh, that's where my Celine went. Okay, yeah, there's my Assassin Cidd. So Assassin Cidd. Let's take a look at him. I forgot I even had units in there, honestly. I forgot my Celine was in there. I was like, where's my Celine? But alright, let's talk about the Assassin Cidd. I'm gonna put the exact Akali build. Just know that some of the crit rate is wasted on him. So I would definitely change some things around on the Assassin Cidd's build, but we'll see how different the speed actually is. So let's see. He is not awakened, so his base speed would get 6 more. So remember that, and then just start thinking of the other stuff. So let's put him my Akali build, and you guys will see how the stats will look because they do build very, very similarly. They have very similar builds. Yes, there's a tank cidd build. I know that. I just personally don't like the tank cidd builds because I feel like if you're not killing the unit, he's not doing his job as an assassin. And it's kind of like he's in this weird in-between phase. But let's see. So we're going to slap on the Akali equips. Some of the crit rate will be wasted. So he's at 15% crit. You have to remember, if I fully Molagoran, fully awakened him, and gave him everything, he would have a lot of extra crit. So this is wasted on him, so you can see where he would get a lot more attack. But it's just a good idea for you guys to start thinking about some of the gear, how it will look on these type of characters. So that's the Akali. So we did mention that he was missing 6 speed, so he'd be at 276 speed. I don't know how fast he would actually be. He would be very, very fast. He would easily have 100% crit rate, but his attack would be lower. The only thing I would recommend between an Assassin Cidd and Assassin Kali, crit rate is a lot easier to get. I would try to get even faster equips for him. This might not even be fast enough because Cidds have to be over 280 speed. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. If they're not over 280 speed, they're not doing their jobs. So for Cidd, well, it's very similar to the Akali that I have. You would have to find a way to get like an extra 4 or 5 speed, which should be doable. Again, you don't pick your assassin. Like for example, this, if it had run into speed instead of crit rate, that would have been perfect for an Cidd. That would have been like beautiful for the Cidd if it had rolled into speed instead of crit rate on this equip. On this one, again, if it had rolled into speed instead of effect and crit rate, again, beautiful, beautiful. If those rolls had gone the way, it would have been like a 300 speed Cidd, would have still had 100% crit rate and would still be killing most units most of the time. So yeah, very, very similar builds. If you're more interested in deeper builds for Cidd, kind of like what your stat line is, one way to look at it, if you really want to, it should look very similar to my Akali. So they should be very, very similar in terms of stats. So your Assassin Cidd needs to be at 100% crit. Your Assassin Cidd needs to have at least 2800 attack. I think it's a nice number to have because my Akali can kill a lot of priority targets. If you're able to get this attack, you're easily killing. For speed, you have to be at least 280 speed. I know, you're like, what are you talking about, King? 280 speed? I can't even get my Oxalt over 240 speed. But yes, that's how fast your Assassin Cidd really needs to be in order for you to get the most out of him. And then for the crit rate, crit rate 100 and then crit hit damage, ideally 225 at least, if not higher than that, because he needs to kill. He's more bursty. Akali, you can get away with a couple of other stuff because she doesn't have to kill on her first turn. It's nice when she does, but she doesn't need to. So yeah, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope y'all do get the option. Try it out, check your inventory, because most of the time when I was building the assassins, a lot of this gear ended up going to other units, whether it rolled too much into attack or not enough into speed. A lot of that gear did end up going to other units, but I will tell you, you don't really get to pick when you build your assassins. They kind of pick when they want to be built, because it happened that I was building the K-Run, and some of them rolled too much into speed, and then I was like, this would go really good in Assassin Kali. And then I slowly started to build her. And then more and more gear I had for the longest time. Y'all saw the ring. Even with that good of an Assassin Kali, I still can't even fully finish her out. I can't give her full justice in a lot of the other parts. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. If you want to see the Akali in action, check out the PvP videos. But I hope everyone enjoyed, and good luck building them. Peace.